which I did that as well. And then I signed in with my Google. I signed in through Google.
Mhm.
And it still made me put the number in to enter the room. And that number is like the last series of numbers that was in the link you sent.
Okay. And you got in. All right. Well, goodness. Okay. So if we're looking at our class, when I see my screen and I go there to our winter 2018, and we may see things slightly different, but you always you'll pull up to the announcements. So anyway, here's the announcements. I hope that you've all read through, and just note that I've got the sample American Realism paragraph and a rubric. Did you all click on the rubric to see how things were graded?
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of just like having you have that.
Not yet.
Okay. And, I mean, things aren't due till Saturday, so no big deal. But it's just nice because it just breaks down, okay, let's make sure I've got my content. I've got my source support. I'm writing well. I'm being fair and not plagiarizing, So that would be the first thing you see in our class. But the place I wanted to point you toward is in our content section. The welcome folder is my best friend. I'm in there all the time. I hope you guys have checked it out. Particularly because, the syllabus is here and then the course schedule. So these are the two things I would say to print. So that we've been changing percentages on the syllabus. So let me see if it's current right now. It's not current. So if you want to just make a note of the change, quizzes are going to stay at 15%. Tests are going to stay at 20. But the major essays we're going to put down to 40. And then for exercises discussions, it's going to be 15% will be exercises and 10% will be discussions. Does anyone want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so quizzes, tests stay the same. Major essays goes to 40%. Exercises it'll be 15% of your grade, and discussions will be 10. And I'm doing that in response to some student feedback at the end of semester. Because at the end of the semester, you submit your final essay, which was at that time 25% of your grade. And then you did your final test, which was 10% of your grade. So you didn't know 35% of your grade with 2 days to go in the class. So that's really rough. Also, it didn't feel like it was paying enough homage to the really hard work you did as exercises, because there are 2 or 3 paragraph assignments a week. And I just want you to feel the value of that. And that should be this awesome springboard to make your essays great. So anyway, I just wanted to reward students more for their work. You have any questions on the grading or anything, or any objections? I'm open to that. No one said anything during the class, which I thought was sad, but then 2 angry students exploded in their evaluations, and I just thought, that we could have talked about this earlier. So yeah, any thoughts on that?
Good.
Okay.
Sounds perfectly fair to me.
Good deal. And then note the grade scale. I think in some of the classes, 94 to 100 is an A, and in ours it's 93. So that's wonderful. Love it. Cherish it. You're lucky that it's 93, not 94. Okay. So that's one of the most important pages. And then the other one, because I've never opened weeks early, as a standard rule, is the course schedule, because that tells you what reading is coming so that you're never blindsided. So it's like, coming into a face-to-face class and getting your syllabus that typically has the schedule. So you can see week 1, participate in our discussion board, the reading, so everything in the lesson 1 folder, respond to the welcome email, and then the American Realism intro and the chapter and the writing assignment, complete the reading quiz. So you can look at this, even though you can click through every single thing each week. This also tells you, okay, this is what's coming. The format's not perfect because sometimes, for some lessons, there are certain articles that go perfectly with it, but sometimes if you scroll down to week 5, throughout the week, you're going to participate in a reading discussion board and read Death Comes for the Archbishop, so you can see the big books that are coming. So just so you know, anyway, so this is a great thing to type out, print out with your syllabus. Any questions on the assignments just from what you see here or on the schedule? Okay, good deal. So then this is just kind of an orientation.
I have a question
Okay.
really quick.
Yeah. Okay, guys.
No, I was going to say, is everything due on Saturday, or when are our, because
Sorry.
I can't find the information right now. When are our initial like discussion board posts and stuff due?
Yeah, we everything is due on Saturdays, but in our class, you're required to be in discussion boards on at least 2 separate days. And so I didn't want to have there be a Wednesday night requirement and then a Saturday night requirement. So to kind of get around that, when you'll click in a week, so I'm just going to show you week 2 because that's our first, class discussion that isn't an icebreaker. So discussions. Let me know if there's anything you can't see because sometimes we see different things. Can you see what I'm seeing week 2? Okay. So when you're in the week 2 reading discussion and there are things posted here, it'll say, participate in one of the threads. The student moderator schedule is located here. To earn full credit, you need to make comments on at least 2 separate days so you have opportunity to address the questions and engage in further conversations. So you'll see the post by Tuesday evening. The moderator will post it. And then you'll need to respond. So anyway, the point is in each lesson or in each week, you'll see a reminder right at the start, get on that board. And then in the conclusion of the weekly folder, you'll see a reminder, get back in the board. And that seemed to make those problems go away. So yeah, everything's due on Saturday. Just make sure you post at least once before then.
I have a question.
Yeah. Yes. I heard someone say they have a question, but then I don't hear anything else.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I have a question. So when you were saying to post 2 days out of the week, would you like us to post on a certain amount of different posts, or is it just one? Or
No, so that one's tough. I'm going to show you another class. So I'll just show you my last class from last semester.
And I'm Marie, by the way.
Thank you. My screen is limiting me, so I can't see everyone here, and I don't like that at all.
Okay.
Thank you. Maybe if we say our names when we get on, that would be awesome. Okay. All right, so let's just look at a discussion. Let's look at the week 2 discussion from this last class. All right, reading discussion. So 2 students, so Jan was the only one who'd signed up for this week. So she posted 2 different ideas. And then we just went to town. So she posts, and then this is a completion grade. I hate saying that because then some people just post twice on 2 separate days and never think about it ever again. But it is a completion thing. Are you jumping in? Are you responding to the posts? But there are people who are in here 11 times throughout the week, and it's just fun. Anyway, I love these discussions. I mean, you can see there's 77. We just engage, and it's just really fun.
So you're talking about starting 2 new threads, and then you can respond afterwards. But initially, you want 2 new threads started twice a week.
Well, yeah. So you're leading next week, aren't you?
No, I didn't sign up yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, who said that they're doing it next week? Okay.
Did for week 2, if not week 3, but I'm interested in knowing what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can do 2 separate threads like this. On other weeks, the student just did 1 main post and posted 3 questions. So, but this is easier in a way because you can follow a different idea. You can be on both boards. You can be on one of them several times. When I check it in the grade book, I read them every day, and that's the way to be involved. I think in this one is that you check for when the first post comes, right? And then you're just part of the conversation each day. And then it's never a struggle to get it in because you're kind of up on the conversation. It's just really
Plus,
fun.
it builds up if you don't do it every day.
Yeah. And it'd be hard. The saddest thing to me is the person that writes like 3 sentences on the first day that have nothing to do with anything. and then they like chime in for another 5 seconds at the end of the week. That just, I'm like, oh, you missed all the class conversation, you know. So I will give you a little note if I see that, and I will see it. I mean, it just shows me your posts, and since I've been a part of the conversation anyway, I know how relevant they were to the conversation. Anything, but I mean, typically that's a completion thing. It's just because you're in there and discussing. Any other questions on the reading discussion? I do not want to bore you or waste your time. We good?
So you have sometimes 2 moderators in a week, and there should be at least 2 questions. So if you're the only one, it's nice if you post 2 questions. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even think I specify to have 2, but I just think sometimes as the person getting on, you know, you're so excited, you've read the book, you have so much to say. And if someone just says, what are the feminist leadings in this, you know, and they ask you something you don't care about at all, it's just really nice to have a couple different things. Another thing you can do that I've seen students do that I love is do their own posts. They'll wait till after Tuesday so the initial posters can post, and then they'll just start their own thread and say, okay, I just really want to talk about this. And that's completely appropriate. You're still acknowledging and responding to the person who's moderating. So you're not taking anything from them, but it just, that's my favorite thing is you read it and you want to talk about it. So by all means, please post your own thoughts and questions. And this is such a fun place in the course, and that'll be awesome. Let me just show you when you're looking in your content folder. For those of you who've jumped in and started, this is how mine reads. It's a little, do you see it like this? And
Yes.
then you just click on something. Right, you just click on it and then move forward. So there were a lot in here. I just like how it's, I like how you can just move through the pages. Does it feel pretty clear to you? I mean, you all seem like, I haven't heard of anyone who's new to iLearn 3. You're good with the setup? You're good with the layout? It's fine?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, my final thought with you, let me go back to our class just in case we have any other questions. Actually, has anyone taken the quiz yet? I don't want to show grades.
I did.
Okay. I don't want to show your grades in the grade book. Okay, I won't show. But it just to kind of give you a glimpse of how it is each week, it's typically, you've got the reading discussion every week. You've got a couple paragraph assignments. And then sometimes you have a themes and symbols discussion board in a small group. We do that 3 times in the semester just for a couple of the books. So it's just an additional discussion group. It's no pressure. You know, there's just kind of a different discussion point. But the things coming your way, the big things are knowing, okay, I've got an essay due right about at midterm time. And then I have an essay test. And the essay test is going to have 5 questions that are related to what we've been talking about. So we'll be talking about realism. And so there will be a question in here about realism as related to one of the texts. Anyway, so you'll have a week to prepare outlines for these 5 questions. And then you'll click on your test. You're ready to take it. And it'll post one of those 5. And they give you a 2-hour amount of time and you just go for it. And I will say, if no students have sent me accommodation sheets from the Disability Services Center, but if you're the type of person who gets a lot of anxiety from a timed experience, email me and talk to me about it. I'm not doing this to make anyone miserable. I'm really doing it so that you can get it done and move on with your life. So if you do have anxiety about testing times, I'm happy to say no. You do take, make sure you take the test on time, like by the last day, but you have 24 hours to do it. I don't want to give it an unfair advantage. I wouldn't want you to spend 24 hours on it when someone else only spent 2, but you judge how it will be for yourself and talk to me, and that's just fine. And speaking of that, we've talked about in our discussion boards already this week, some people not liking some of the content of Hemingway or the language of Hemingway or Faulkner. And again, talk to me about that. One of the comments was, I might feel lonely if I'm the only person not reading this text. But you won't be lonely because I'm there. I respond, I give feedback on every small assignment. I'm in every discussion board. You know what I mean? You're not going to be lonely. I'll be with you. And it's really, the novels are 1 week long. So it would be being lonely for 1 week of the 14 weeks, you know. So just don't mind coming and talking to me about that. The other thing I'm thinking about is several of you have said you've read Fahrenheit 451. And if you have read it a lot or even once, and you just kind of want something else, propose something else to me and I'll let you do it. So if it's like, I want to do another Ray Bradbury, I want to do Dandelion Wine, then I will probably say yes.
Is there any specific, am I even here?
Yeah, I see you and your dog.
Yeah. Well, one of the dogs.
Okay.
So I've read Fahrenheit 451 like 5 times for school now,
Yeah,
and I'm about sick of this stupid book.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
you said suggest an alternative. Is it in the sci-fi genre, or does it have to be Bradbury?
What we'll do is we're going to be in modernism. So I would have you, I'd have you find something that had, literary accolades in that time frame, in that genre.
Gotcha.
So I know, wouldn't that be so cool if it was like, you can do Wheel of Time instead, but yeah.
No, that's way too much. But I was gonna say, because we could do Orson Scott Card or something like
Right.
that. But
So I would have so much fun actually talking with you about it. So I think, yes, and if we've got a lot of takers who've read Fahrenheit 451, we can create our own small group for that week, right? Have a separate discussion for those, if we want.
I'm into that.
Yeah, if we want to pick an alternate text together, we could why don't I just do that? If we've already got people who are interested, let's maybe email me some of your proposed ideas that match the time frame and the genre. And we'll see. And remember that you've got 1 week to do it, so no Atlas Shrugged.
decent.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds exciting, honestly.
So does
yeah.
Ayn Rand count towards modernism? I mean, I've never paid attention to the different styles. It's
Right.
just good, bad, or whatever. But does Ayn Rand count?
I would say do some research and prove it to me. Like,
Okay.
to be like, I've been looking at this, I'm seeing these things about the major modern writers, and she's there. What are our thoughts about this? What is the literary acclaim? You know what I mean? Because most of our books are Pulitzers, just have some huge awards. So just be fun to do the most read and maybe the most recognized pieces.
Okay.
Airplane. I'm excited. I hope you do it. Okay. So the final thing I wanted to do with you, let me see if there's anything else I had written down. No. Final thing I wanted to do with you is just take a look at a PowerPoint. Let me see if I can find it for us. All right.
Yeah, there's media.
And okay, remind me of how I'm supposed to do this again. I go to home. Is that right? Who are my helpers?
What are you trying to do?
I just want it to be bigger.
Slideshow? Do a slideshow?
I want a slideshow. Yes, slideshow.
Down at the bottom, towards the right, you'll see kind of you'll see 4 little squares, and you'll see a little screen. So take your cursor out there you go.
Thank you. Okay. And you all can see. So we're not going to go through every slide, but just, and I need to get our pictures. Are your pictures being silly and going all over the place? Like
Nope.
our video?
No.
How nice for you. Mine's blocking my screen. Okay. All right. So Samuel Langhorne Clemens, known as Mark Twain, and I can't even see his years of birth. There we go. 1835 to 1910. Greatest American writers, humorist, essayist, all of those things. I really want this to go somewhere else. Okay, there we go. So early years, and this presentation, it shows its works cited at the end. It has a very strong riverboat slant. It wants you to know that that's where Huck Finn came from, is his riverboat time. But so from John and Jane Clemens, 6th of 7 children, went to Hannibal, Missouri. And this is interesting. His father and uncle owned slaves. He spent summers playing in the slave quarters on his uncle's farm, makeshift rafts, all those things. So the Mark Twain boyhood home is here. His father died when he was 12, so he quit school in 5th grade and started working. He had a career in journalism and just did some short stories and things. I know this is fast. That's just a little taste of it because we don't get to talk about it as a class very much this week. And then I want you to just, I'd love to talk about the book for a couple minutes after this, if that's okay with you, just so we've got an outlet for all the fun things we're thinking. Okay, so some travel, let's see, journalist, writing and traveling. But these are just kind of fun. This is his pilot certificate to be on a river pilot. And there he is. And then in the Civil War, this is kind of interesting. You know, he joins as a volunteer for a few weeks with the irregulars and then heads west to make his fortune with gold. And did that for kind of a lot of his life, always looking for the next way to make money. Let's see. So he encounters Native American tribes. And then he starts writing for the Territorial Enterprise, does Jim Smiley and his Jumping Frog. And it just kind of gives a quick, oh, and I love this, just the explaining of his name. I mean, I think we've all heard this since we were little, but it's a nice review. He picks Mark Twain because it's an important part of being a riverboat pilot. It does depths, snags, muds, reefs. To Mark Twain is to sound the depths and deem them safe to passage. So 12 feet is safe for water for the steamship. What a clever name. So him on the river. And then I'm going to kind of skip through this, but he did know abolitionists, which is wonderful. He said he had no aversion to slavery growing up, but just kind of kept being with abolitionists, and that changed him. So by the time he wrote Connecticut Yankee, let's see if we can get to there. He wrote it, what's the copyright, you guys? I'm opening it up too. Copyright, what was his initial, the first year? Was it 1891? Remember?
Looking.
Me too. Okay, 1889. Okay, so
Yep.
So I mean, you can just kind of see him building his writing career. It's just so interesting. I'm just skipping through to see. Oh, I like this. Some Mark Twain quotes: "Of all the creatures that were made, he-man is the most detestable. Whenever I feel the urge to exercise, I lie down until it goes away. If you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a few minutes." And there's a couple more of these. Married. And his wife. Let's see if we just have a couple other things. Him with some friends. He's married, had children. Okay, so then this is just kind of, you can see the huge spread. Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and it's more than 20 years later that he does Connecticut Yankee. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say. Oh, I like this. Okay, I don't know if you've heard this before. It's believed that while Mark Twain was writing Tom Sawyer, he wasn't sure whether he was writing for children or adults, but with Huck Finn, it's clear he wrote for adults, but the narrator is an innocent child who's seen a lot of pain, death, and suffering. And let's see if there's anything else. Oh, lots of bad investments, a lot of people dying. Comes to America to try to make money because he's this famous author, but he keeps losing money.
Okay, quick question.
Please do.
Aside from the fact that there's no mention of him wearing red socks all the time, the picture of Tom Sawyer earlier that you passed a few of them back, what age did you assume Tom Sawyer to be? Because I've read that several times. That's the one.
Yeah.
And,
was it 10 or 11? Do you guys remember?
well, to me, it never specified the exact age, but it seemed to bounce between 8 and 14.
Okay, yeah.
And I always thought that was, I mean, it's a great book. It's funny, but it's so inconsistent as to what the character's supposed to be. It's like he couldn't make up his mind whether it was a little boy or an almost man.
Right.
Reminds me of the 7th graders I work with.
See, so he was actually just very smart and just writing them perfectly. No, that's a great point. And can we segue that in to Connecticut Yankee? Do you feel like it's a bipolar experience to read Connecticut Yankee? What are you experiencing as you read this?
Bipolar. You're going to have to explain on that.
Like, I feel like he's like, I'm in a funny mood. You know, ha ha ha, funny, killing the band members, and then I'm going to slam you with this incredibly heavy, heartfelt, and that gets in more into the rest of the book. But do you feel that? I just feel like these are written on different days, these different sections. Do you feel that?
No.
Okay.
I have
Bring the deadpan humor.
Okay. Definitely.
I feel like it makes it a little more realistic, and that's kind of how human emotion is a lot of times. Some days we're
point.
really happy, and other days we're really not.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like Hank is like the character, like Tom, where you kind of can't see how you feel about him because he's not, he seems sort of to be a different person in different places?
I hadn't really thought about it, but I can see your point on that. Yes. Tom, of course, comes to adulthood basically in his experience. What is that? Bildungsroman? What is the term for coming to adulthood? Because he learns compassion, he learns true friendship, he learns a lot of things. Huck Finn I'm not as familiar with, but it seems to me he started at a more mature level. And I haven't figured out about Hank yet.
Yeah. Do you like Hank as a character? Why or why not?
He's not very complete.
Okay.
At least
And-
I haven't found it to be so yet. It's
Yeah.
witty, but it's flat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I guess I find him somewhat manipulative. He's in another culture. He doesn't embrace the culture. He wants to change things. And there's a part of me that's kind of like that. But when I see it in print, I see that it is somewhat manipulative. Is he really going to be a part of the problem or part of the solution?
Great. Okay. Any other thoughts on Connecticut Yankee as we're reading? I know that we've only just started it. And plus it's Tuesday of the first week of class. I'm sorry. I just, it's a fun, but it's okay if you haven't read much of it yet either. I'm just happy that you came to our meeting. Anyway, I'm just excited as you read it. If you have any other closing thoughts as we wrap up our meeting, because we've gone quite a while.
Well, for me, this is Darla. For me, most of the time, in fact, almost always, I've read the book before I ever see the movie. In this particular case, I saw the old Bing Crosby rendition of A Connecticut Yankee. And so as I'm reading the book finally, I'm picturing the scenes from the movie when he does certain things. I'm laughing hysterically because I can really see it, not just from his wonderful illustrations, the verbal illustrations, but from memories of the movie. And so I'm having a great time reading.
Yay, good. I'm glad. Let me, I'm gonna stop our share and come back into our lobby. Well, good. I'm glad you met with me. This is not a weekly thing. You'll have other classes that do meet weekly and we don't. We'll have meetings where just for student teacher conferences to prep your essays. We'll meet together and it'll be great. And I guess we'll do it in here and we'll figure out how to get a better link that comes here. Yeah, so we'll meet like that, but we're not going to have regular meetings, just so you know. But I'm always here if you need me. I'm happy to meet with you here. I don't have official office hours, but I'm happy to meet whenever you need to meet or want to meet. And that is it. Would anyone like to close our meeting with a prayer?
I will, but could I ask one more question
Of
before?
course. Absolutely.
Okay, so do you ever offer opportunities for extra credit?
Yes, I do.
Yay.
The big things, I just like it to be, things that are beneficial. Like I offered one already. If you submit a work for publication this semester, just let me know, send me the cover letter that you wrote, or just tell me I did this. And I'll just give you an extra point on a quiz that you're struggling with, or just to give you the additional point. I won't do it for every submission you do because some of you might submit 60 submissions. But so that's an example, and submitting your work for our school magazine, I'll definitely do the credit for that. And then as you think of things too, let me know. If you're going to a museum, like we're going to do Travels with Charlie, if you happen to go to that museum, the Steinbeck Museum, that can be an extra credit. Be creative and ask. Don't be scared to ask. I won't pad your grades, but I will definitely reward you for additional learning experiences.
Where is the Steinbeck Museum?
Where is that? Someone went to it last semester. I could probably look it up. I feel like it's in the Heartland, but I could be wrong. It has Rocinante there. The truck he traveled in is there in the museum. It's kind of cool.
Is it in Salinas, California?
Maybe it is. Someone can quickly Google it.
I've been to the Twain Museum in Virginia City.
Oh, cool.
Ooh, that would be fun.
That would be. I'd like to see pictures from that. All right, I'm just looking at the Steinbeck Museum. Is everyone else Googling that too? Yep, it's in Salinas, California.
Makes sense.
It does, except he lived on the East Coast too. Oh well. All right, let me come back to our meeting. Okay, so who's gonna say our prayer?
Darla,
Darla, if you wouldn't mind, that would be lovely.
our Father in heaven, we thank you for the opportunity we've had to meet together this evening, discuss the things that are going to be happening in class. We pray that thou will bless this class, that we'll be able to participate fully in our discussions, that they will be uplifting and helpful as we learn the different concepts that we need to. We ask that you bless us with patience with one another and with the ability to get the work done and learn the things that thou would have us learn. We thank thee for this blessing of education. Ask thy continued blessings on all of us, peace in our families and our homes. And this we pray in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 And I'll stay after for anyone who has any questions.